So here I've got my 2015 KTM 300. Gonna be doing the wheel bearings on it. Picked this thing up during the summer. It's a really great bike. I would definitely recommend getting one. So I got my wheel bearings. Pivot works for the front, factory links for the rear. I should have got both the same brand, but I didn't feel like waiting for them to come. So here I'll show you how you can tell if your wheel bearings are bad. Give it a listen. When I move the wheel back and forth, listen for it. Can you hear that? You should not be able to hear that sound. That sound is the wheel going like this, back and forth, back and forth. The fronts here are even worse. You actually might be able to see it. See that? Should not be able to notice that at all. So we'll be switching them out. It's really not that bad. You don't need any special tools at all. So first, we're just gonna start by taking off the rear wheel. We'll do the rear first because it's already off the ground. So you just gotta get something that'll fit that. I believe it is this one, which it is not. Okay, hold on. So I believe it's this one, which is a 32mm socket. Yep, that's the one. So get you a 32mm for the rear, and that'll get you started. All right, so I got the nut off, no problem. Just use a torque wrench as a breaker bar, basically. And then all you gotta do is just slide the axle straight out. It can be a pain, so usually like a rubber mallet and a screwdriver will help you get it through, but just don't be beating on the threads too hard because then you won't be able to screw the nut back on. You don't want to mar up these threads at all. Sometimes you can screw a nut on there, helps you a little bit, but really just try not to do it. As you can see from previous times, there's like chips and whatnot in there. It's all right as long as the nut really screws on at the end of the day. Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. It just slides right out. And just like that, I got the wheel off with no problem. Once you pull the axle through, you'll just have to push the wheel up a little bit, just enough to get the chain off around the sprocket. You don't gotta mess with your adjustments or anything like that. And then it should just pull right out. And here's the wheel. You just pull off these little, I guess these are like dust covers or something. And then there's your bearing in there. Got your dust seal right here. And your bearings on the inside. So first, pop the dust seal. You can usually just use like a pick or a screwdriver. It shouldn't be hard at all. So just to kind of help you figure it out, you just put the screwdriver on one side, hit it, the other side, hit it, hit it, hit it, and just keep doing it all the way around. And then you're gonna want to put it on some wood or maybe just a couple 2x4s because you'll see I'm to the point where the bearing is just about at the end. So if I was to have this flat on the concrete, I'd be pounding the bearing into the concrete and it wouldn't come out. So you have to put it up on something. I'm just using this step ladder, but usually just a couple pieces of 2x4 to keep it in the air so the bearing can fall right out. And after a few taps, there's my bearings. Sometimes, yes, there are two bearings on one side and one on the other. That's normal. I didn't know that until the other bike I did. And then here's the collar on the inside. And now it'll be really easy just to hit that bearing from this side. All right, so I got the bearings out, no problem. You can see all that dirt in there. You want to make sure you get all that dirt out. And then I'm going to put some grease around where the bearings sit, as well as I'm going to clean this piece up. Don't forget to put this in there. I've done that before. Okay, so I got both of those bearings in there on that one side. So now you just got to seat them enough to fit your dust cover, which is these guys in here. All right, so I got my dust seals back in, both bearings in. Basically just put the wheel and tire back on just like you took it off. Make sure you have your pads spread open so you can get your disc in there, because sometimes that can be a pain when they're not. Sometimes if you have them squeezed together, you gotta pry them apart and all that stuff. But my caliper was seized up on these, like, I think they're called glide pins, so I just went and wire brushed them and put some grease on them, so now that's free. Because that's also, if you have a problem of your brake sticking even when you let off. It's because of these pins here. There's one there and one right here where these rubber boots are. They get seized up in there. You just got to take them apart, clean them with a wire brush, loop them back up, and that should fix that problem. All right, so I'm just gonna slap this thing back together, and then we'll start working on the front. Okay, I gotta get my torque specs out. I believe it's 58 foot-pounds for my bike. For this, it's pretty important that you torque at the spec and make sure you put a cotter pin in there if you have one. This bike does not. But when you're going to tighten it, make sure that these little blocks here are up to your chain adjustment bolt. Otherwise, your wheel's gonna be crooked, so just kind of, you know, make sure it's good. And while you're at it, make sure your chain's adjusted. Mine's good. It seems tight right now, but I don't know, it's fine. Just go ahead and tighten that, and then that'll be it for the rear. All right, so we got it on. As you can see, that's just my leg hitting the chain, that sound, but there is nothing at all. It is nice and tight. So now I got the front raised off the ground. Let's go ahead and do that. These that were fitted in here, they just pop right out. And then other than that, it's basically the same thing as the back. Just pop these dust seals, pop the bearings out, pop them back in, no problem at all. And that's basically it. And then just take this off the same way you put it on, and you've changed your wheel bearings. So I hope this helped, but that's all I really gotta say. Pretty self-explanatory.